cricket-o-mania. The big question in Indian cricket this week is Mahendra Singh Dhoni, the captain, still fit to be the captain of India's Test cricket team? Or maybe that's the question. Is he fit to be captain of the Test cricket team, or should he be focusing on other things? We've got a big panel today for you. Ayaz, Memon, my co-anchor, as always on cricket-o-mania. We've also got former Test cricketer Chetan Chauhan joining us, and also Mumbai cricket captain Shishir Hatangadi, who will be joining us. We've also got with us Navneeth, who's going to be joining us from Hyderabad, who's going to be posing a few questions. Navneeth is also a cricket enthusiast and expert. Ayaz, let's ask the fundamental question, right? Okay, so before I ask the fundamental question, here's what some of the responses were. Ravi Shastri, cricket director now, said it was pathetic, right? Sunil Gavaskar said, if you don't want to be playing Test cricket for India, then quit.
Yeah.
Krishna Shrikant, former chairman of Selectors, said he is surviving, that is MS Dhoni, because there is no alternative. Rethink Test captaincy and take the burden off him. That was Krishna Shrikant. Yeah. And that's perhaps an appropriate point to begin our discussion.
Yeah, so there is obviously this argument about the Tina factor, that if there is no alternative, so do you still persist with Dhoni or you don't? I think, look, in my opinion, I think if he continues as captain post the one-day series, it will be pretty much by default, because actually the vice captain or the captain, you would have wanted after Dhoni has really had a very bad series,
right?
Which is Virat Kohli.
Right.
And I think the thinking is that if you burden him with the captaincy, his game might go to pieces.
Yeah.
So you don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
Now, is that a big risk to take? That's something that the BCCI will have to decide, because what they've got is a buffer.
Right.
They've got a series against the West Indies at home, where it should be more comfortable for Virat Kohli. However, Dhoni is the captain everybody wants and expects to lead us into the World Cup. So would that demoralize him if he's not retained as captain, if he's bumped off the captaincy as a Test captain? So it's a bit of an imbroglio. It's a bit of a complex situation.
And is there something therefore in Gavaskar's statement there, that if you don't want to be playing Test cricket, underlying Test for India, then quit?
Well, actually, he's not referring to Dhoni there at all.
He's referring to the team in...
He is in fact making Dhoni the exception.
Yeah.
Because in the last series, Dhoni was the only guy who went out there and battled it right through.
Right.
So whether it's Shastri or because I've spoken a bit to Shastri, they all seem to have the highest regard for Dhoni, but they are very critical about the team. However, ultimately, like the coach, the captain has to be assessed on the balance sheet. There are more debits or more credits.
Right. So, and Dhoni has lost 13 matches of the 17 overseas tests, overseas underlined again, and we'll come back to that in a bit, and has only won one. And that's a good point to bring in Chetan Chauhan. Chetan, how do you see this question that we are asking today? Is Dhoni fit to lead India as captain of Test cricket in coming weeks and months? Okay, right. So I think we're having a little technical glitch. So we'll come back to that. So the other point that was raised, Ayaz, was that county cricket. Right. So Dhoni was asked in a press conference saying, why don't you play county cricket? And we've discussed this on cricket-o-mania as well. So that balances you, it sort of gets you in gear and going for a Test cricket, a Test cricket sort of appearance or delivery. But he said that that's a good idea, effectively, as I could understand it, good idea, but I don't know how we're going to do it.
That's because the IPL season conflicts with the English county season.
Exactly, yeah.
So, and he also made the remark that why are you guys jealous of the IPL?
Yes.
So,
I think don't be jealous of it.
Don't be jealous or something like that. Yeah, so I mean, there are issues. I think that what I found, Govind, in the last series is fundamentally, I think where the Indian team suffers, or the Indian players, they don't play enough first-class cricket. County cricket is first-class cricket. So, when they're exposed to the longer format, you'll find that matches are finishing in 3.5, 4 days, and the Indians are finding it difficult to last that long.
Right.
In the one-day format and the T20 format, they're damn good.
Yeah.
So that is coming through very clearly. Maybe whether it's playing county cricket or you're playing domestic cricket, guys like Dhoni, Virat Kohli, Cheteshwar Pujara, Ravindra Jadeja, last 3-4 years have played virtually no domestic cricket.
Yeah. So let's collect a few points, and including from Navneeth, who's joining us from Hyderabad. So Sham Patil says, yes, he is. His attitude and character make him a natural leader for the team. Yeah. Firoz sort of has a different take. He says Dhoni is Kismat's kid. Sehwag's form crashed in 2007 and he became captain. Gambhir slipped in 2011 and Kohli now. right? And Navneeth, what do you have to say? Or do you have a question or a comment for Ayaz?
No, as in just taking on from what Ayaz said, I think everything's at rock bottom right now. So
why somebody who can do, virtually no wrong playing at home suddenly makes so many blunders overseas? What's happening? But historically, if you look, India haven't done well overseas. So there is a problem, fundamental problem with Indian players. We talked about the slip fielders and the slip catching. I mean, Dhoni is not going to take catches for them. Dhoni is not going to make runs for Kohli and Pujara. If they fail against swing, they fail against swing. And if your best batsman, in match after match, if you're reduced to 60 for 6, if your team struggles to play 50 overs, there's not too much a captain can do.
And he also seems to have, in some ways, blamed the bowlers, or rather, he said if he had better bowlers, then he could have.
Well, actually, if he had better batsmen in this series, the bowlers, they have nothing to defend. You bowled in the last innings, you were bowled out for 94 in less than 30 overs.
Right.
I mean, that's a shocking display of batting. Whatever the captain or the captaincy, where's your batting lineup? So, is he failing to inspire? Is he not talking to them well? Is it tactically that he is making mistakes? But when he comes home, it's a completely different ball game. So it's a inexplicable situation, certainly in limited overs cricket. So where I feel that ultimately all arguments must end is that you have to be judged by the results. And he's had a long enough tenure, 6 years. I'm not for a moment suggesting that he should be dumped now, because the Indian team is in a huge crisis. But Dhoni has to look at himself in the mirror, that the turnaround, the younger players will come in, the transition will happen, we'll start doing well again. That has not happened.
But
it's
there
been
seems
2
to
years.
be a certain degree of helplessness. Let me see if we've got Chetan Chauhan back. Chetan, are you there?
Yes.
So the question that we've been asking is, of course, the primary one being, is Dhoni still fit to lead Indian Test cricket? What's your broad sense?
Well, see, I would say that not only now, but I've been saying this for the last 1 year, that he looks a tired man, exhausted, physically as well as mentally, and it appears as if he is not there in the game, and because of that, I have been saying that he should take a break from one of the formats of the international cricket, and the right format would be Test cricket, because the load is too much on him. He is captain. He's a player, and then he's a wicketkeeper. So, I feel that is too much of pressure on him. And as I said, he looks tired. And in view of the World Cup early next year, we want a fit Dhoni, a new Dhoni, and a fresh Dhoni, because we still need him for the one-day cricket. So the right thing would be let him take a break. I don't say drop him, but the selector, just as they spoke to Sachin Tendulkar before he retired, similarly, I think a word could be had with him by the chairman selection committee, and also ask about his opinion as to what we think, because we.
Milind, the question we were asking is, and we've been through several discussions on this particular series. We have seen the results now, which are obviously not the best or most encouraging. What's the way forward in your mind? I mean, how should the team and the country in that to that extent be sort of recovering from this and getting ready for the next round?
Govind and Ayaz, I've been listening to you. I haven't had an opportunity to listen to Chetan. But in my personal view, a captain is judged by the men that he has with him on the field. The captain can't bat for his team, so if the team is failing in his batting abilities, then the captain cannot be held responsible. The point I'm making over here is Dhoni strategically a good captain on the field? The captain can be judged generally on the field when he handles his bowlers, the way he handles the field placing. And is anybody telling me that Dhoni is strategically a good captain in Test cricket? Because time and again, it seems that the same mistakes have been committed. Time and again, his field placing seems to be questionable. Commentators have been questioning his field placing. 140-50 runs went to third man in this last Test match, and yet he never kept a fielder over there to save those runs. So the point is Dhoni strategically a good captain? Now, Dhoni might have scored runs with the bat. One doesn't want to drop him for that. But are we going to continue with Dhoni these questions are to be asked by the selectors and thought about by the selectors. That is he a good captain controlling the game when the opposition bats? That, to my mind, is the moot question.
The way to frame the question, and that's well framed, Ayaz.
Yeah, I think clearly that's the issue, or it's becoming the issue.
Because I mean, all these things, whether it's the slips or the induction and the the exit of players like Binny and Sharma, I mean, that suggests. I don't know. Is it a result? I'm not sure it's a result of fatigue. I mean, if that's what
No, I think it's also a result of helplessness. I mean, you start losing, then you say, okay, somebody else might help me out, and it doesn't happen. So you keep changing, and frankly,
shows weak leadership.
but everybody said Shikhar Dhawan should be out and Gautam Gambhir should be in.
Yeah.
But nobody expected Gautam Gambhir to not even, just make no runs and run himself out in the last match. So the team is going through the horrors, as we discussed last time. They're mentally gone, and that's where again the captain needs to be, put under the scrutiny. Because if the entire team is mentally gone, then obviously there is a certain lack of putting together things in the dressing room.
Right. Okay. So we've got views from Ayaz, Chetan, Chauhan, and Milind, Rege. We also asked a few young people, literally out on the streets of Mumbai, the same question: is MS Dhoni fit to lead India, or still fit to lead India? This is what they had to say.
धोनी अभी भी लीड कर सकता है क्योंकि अच्छी कैप्टनशिप की है उसने. आने वाले अभी जो मैच टूर हुआ है जिसे में वर्ल्ड कप जीता है इंडिया ने, चैंपियन ट्रॉफी जीती है, T20 वर्ल्ड कप जीता है, तो धोनी अच्छा कैप्टनशिप करता है और उसको करनी चाहिए कैप्टनशिप.
He plays well and we can say yes.
धोनी अभी इंडिया को लीड करने के लिए फिट है 2015 वर्ल्ड कप के लिए, पर सिर्फ टेस्ट मैच के लिए कोई कैप्टन जो बदलना चाहिए, क्योंकि टेस्ट मैच में अभी 2-3 साल पहले भी इंग्लैंड के साथ 4-0 से इंडिया हार गई थी. तो अगर इंडिया के कंडीशन में टेस्ट मैच होती है तो धोनी इंडिया ही जीत जाती है, लेकिन इंग्लैंड में जाके वो फेल हो जाती है.
Dhoni is only doing their captainship very well.
I don't think anyone can replace Dhoni as a captainship in the test matches. So I think Dhoni is fit.
मुझे नहीं लगता कि कैप्टनशिप चेंज करने की ज़रूरत है, क्योंकि सब लोगों ने ऐसा ही खेला. वो लोगों ने अच्छा खेला, हमसे गेम अच्छा किया और हमसे अच्छा खेले वो लोग, और बट वही फ़ायदा हुआ कि वो लोग जीते, सीरीज जीते.
Right, so there you are. I mean, Dhoni obviously has a lot of support amongst the youth of this country, but perhaps the support is not for the right reasons. Yeah?
Could be. I mean, look, he's the most celebrated captain we've had. He's, he's won one-day titles and limited overs cricket titles everywhere. Let's also not forget that, he's pulled off a 4-0 victory over Australia last.
What do we do when it comes to having a test cricket captain that we can rely on?
Well, see, there are 2-3 things which I wanted to add. I've been listening to Ayaz. One is, even in this series, after the third test match, no, not the third but the fourth, I saw Gautam Gambhir. He looked in very poor form, did not look confident, and for the last test match I would have gone to the extent of even bringing back Shikhar Dhawan in because he looked absolutely out of place, the 2 innings which he played in the fourth test match. Now coming back to the captainship part, now I heard Ayaz. All that Ayaz I want to say is that if you continue with Dhoni as captain, so we've got a series against West Indies here at home, and then India goes to Australia. Now I think if he plays 4 test matches and then a triangular series, he would be completely jaded. He would be a very tired man for the World Cup, and we all know World Cup is the main tournament in cricket. So I would want a fresh Dhoni. So I would have a separate captain. And also in the other countries, the thinking around is have a separate captain for the one-days and a separate captain for test. That is what Australia is doing, and that is what South Africa has done, and also England has done that. So, if we go by that thinking also, I think it is about time, that we give rest. We don't drop Mahendra Singh Dhoni. He's done tremendous for the country, but at the same time, he is playing everything for a long time, and he needs rest. Coming back to the strategy, the BCCI must change its opinion about its thinking and allow the players to go and play county cricket, league cricket, county cricket. These boys must go and have an exposure in England, whether it's county cricket or the kind of wickets they have. Even when we went to England, I think we should have practiced on green wickets for about 10 days or 12 days. I know the time was very, very less because we had IPL and then other championships. But still, we should have practiced. These boys should have got more exposure because they looked absolutely honest.
Those matches, and generally there's nothing to choose and pick from.
Right. Okay. Navneeth, any question that you want to pose to any of the cricketers on our panel today, or Ayaz?
I have a question for Ayaz. I think it's in light of what the latest developments that we heard yesterday, and I'm just trying to wonder why we would see changes made to the ODI support staff when we're really suffering on the test front by Ravi Shastri being appointed and changes being made for the bowling and fielding coaches. Ayaz, what do you think is the reason for some of these changes that have just happened?
Okay, so that's a very interesting question. I think the issue really is that the BCCI has tried to send out a message. I think this is unprecedented for a chief coach to have his wings clipped. Even in the worst days of Greg Chappell, when he was at loggerheads with the team, with the BCCI, the sanctity of the chief coach was maintained. So obviously there's something brewing within the BCCI. They've sent out a message that this is, we are taking some decisive action. The choice of Ravi Shastri has been contentious to a lot of people because they feel not only was he an all-rounder as a cricketer, but he seems to be all-rounder for performing all kinds of tasks for the BCCI. I think, yes, that's perhaps true, and therefore skepticism is perhaps, legitimate. But I think he was available, he was on hand, he is a contemporary, he understands contemporary mindsets. Most importantly, he is now an insider for the BCCI. He knows the team well, he knows Dhoni well, he knows Fletcher well, and he gets along well with all of them. Now, is he a coach? He is obviously not. He is in charge of cricket affairs. I think if he can deliver some value, assess, talk to the players, to the coach, find out what has been really going wrong, not just on this tour, but in South Africa, New Zealand, where you couldn't win. And if you can submit some kind of a report, then that will be a job well done. Otherwise, it becomes, one more exercise.
Okay, we're coming to a close, and we're going to go into our quiz very shortly, where we ask youngsters about various things. I mean, this time, of course, it's to do with Dhoni. Let me come back to you, Milind, Rege. Milind, two of the takeaways as we concluded from points raised by both Chetan, Chauhan and Ayaz Memon were that we need to obviously expose our players to more first-class cricket, to county cricket specifically, and then of course split the captaincy. What's your sort of headline items?
I think first and foremost, we need to change the nature of our wickets. Start playing on hard green wickets, and until and unless you do that, you're never going to compete in international cricket. While I do understand that players can come and play in Indian conditions, I mean, they'll come for the money. They're not going to come for anything else. And I'm not very sure that that's going to help us. The point here is that before we go to Australia, make all wickets compulsory to be green, like the Wankhede Stadium or the Indore wicket or the wickets in Jamshedpur, Ranchi. Make those kind of wickets which are hard, bouncy. Make it compulsory. Otherwise, deduct points from states which make the flat wickets like the ones in Rajkot, where a Jadeja can score 3 triple hundreds and Pujara can go.
उनको चांस देना चाहिए था. इंग्लैंड में खेलना बहुत ही मुश्किल होता है, इसीलिए वहाँ पे जितना एक्सपीरियंस प्लेयर खेलेगा उतना अच्छा होता है टीम के लिए. तो धोनी को जो जितने सीनियर प्लेयर थे उनको खिलाना चाहिए था.
धोनी की गलती मतलब एक तो बीच में एक दो साल पहले सहवाग के साथ जो झगड़ा हुआ था उसमें अंडरस्टैंडिंग दोनों में नहीं थी, और फिर बाद में शिखर धवन और रोहित शर्मा को जो बीच में ओडीआई खिलाए और टेस्ट मैच में भी शिखर धवन को अप्लाई किया था, पर वो कुछ काम नहीं आए. और उसके बाद गंभीर को किया. गंभीर तो एक दो साल के बाद कमबैक किए, वो भी फ्लॉप हो गए. तो जो पहले के खेलने वाले सहवाग उनको लेना चाहिए था.
I think Indian batting was not so good. They were not able to handle the pressure in the overseas.
जी ने ऐसा कुछ नहीं किया, क्योंकि धोनी ने भी काफ़ी अच्छी बैटिंग की है और बहुत अच्छे सिचुएशन में खेला है. रहाने बहुत से लोग ने अच्छा खेला. हम ऐसा कुछ नहीं बोल सकते, धोनी का जिम्मेदारी नहीं ठहरा सकते.
कैप्टन को ऐसे मतलब टीम का कैप्टन होता है, उस पर ऊपर ही पूरे टीम की जिम्मेदारी नहीं होती, क्योंकि हर एक प्लेयर खेलेगा तभी टीम जीतेगी.
The captain is a person who represents whole the team of cricket team, and if he is not able to sustain a good approach and good communication in the team, then team will not perform very well.
No, the players are not playing, then the captain also can't be blamed.
नहीं, वो तो पूरा हर एक को अपना रोल करना चाहिए, हर एक 100% देना चाहिए. धोनी ने अपना तो दिया, बाकी सब प्लेयर्स भी देने चाहिए थे.
It's a team effort. Okay, so when the team loses, we can't blame only Dhoni.
विराट कोहली
विराट कोहली को दे सकते हो तो अच्छे हो गया.
वो जब तक खेले तब तक टीम इंडिया के कैप्टन के रूप में खेले.
तो अजिंक्य रहाणे.
Dhoni should continue till we find any other captain, good captain.
Well, Dhoni should continue, or it should be Virat Kohli. Well, that was a very, I like the rain-swept, Bombay look, and then, all these youngsters sort of,
still talking cricket.
Passionately talking cricket. But anyway, so as we sort of close, let's get our quick points in. Chetan, Chauhan, are you in consonance with some of the points that we've talked about so far, or any change in mind about what is the most, or the two most important things that we need to do now if we are to revive Test cricket and our fate of it in coming months and years? And again, Milind, the same question to you.
Can you repeat the question? I lost it.
Yeah, so basically, so we've covered about 3 or 4 points. Are you in consonance with them in terms of what needs to be done in the immediate future or the near future when it comes to reviving India's role in Test cricket?
I think, look, I want to make one point today that Virat Kohli has done wonderfully well in South Africa and in Australia. England conditions are completely different. And if Virat Kohli is your future, which he is, he's not going to be dropped from the batting lineup because he is going to be your number one player. He is your number one player. I would give him the ropes for the West Indies series for sure. But then the question is asked that if he is the captain, is Dhoni your best keeper? Then what happens? Is he your best batsman? What happens? These are questions to be asked. But I think some kind of a decision must be taken because I think we need a break.
Right. Ayaz, last word.
So I think what's emerging is that yes, Dhoni, should he continue or not, it's a decision that the BCCI will take.
Yeah.
Every indication seems to be that they will still want to support him from what we've heard.
Yeah. And for the Tina factor.
For the Tina factor, even more. I think there is, however, merit in the fact that yes, even if you want to continue with him, let's remove him from the the pressures of leading one more series. It may be at home, it may improve his home record, India will win, but do you want to still burden him and give somebody else the opportunity like Virat? You can suss him out. Maybe you want to bring Dhoni back for the Australia series, Test series also as a captain, but give him a break now. Just ease the pressure on him. Let him come back with his batteries recharged. I think there is merit in it.
Okay, great. So that's a good note to end on. Bring back Dhoni, but after a break, also a few other points. See if we can improve India's exposure to Test cricket, county cricket. Also see if we can do something about the ground that we are playing on in order to replicate the conditions that they play the rest of the world. Let's hope all this works, if it works, in coming months and years, and we have a better Test series in future. Thanks for watching Cricket-o-Mania. We're going to be back very soon.